What did we see today? Just Mud and I?
You know, I don't know where to start with this one.
Me neither.
It's been 3 fucking years. I wasn't even on the channel
I
when the
know.
first New Mutants trailer
I
came
know.
out. We like barely had just met.
My good friend of years did not exist at that point. So,
Yeah, I still don't exist.
yeah, in a sense, yes. In all senses.
But
But
we just saw New Mutants.
let me just say that this movie has been delayed 5 or 6 times off its date. Mud and I had tickets to see it, and then the projector broke, so we had to go to a separate theater.
We had to go 50 minutes away.
Yep.
And we just made it
Mhm.
to a different showing. So
It was
the original,
delayed.
The original showing, like Jake said, the projector broke.
Yep.
So we had to bomb ass 50 minutes to a different theater.
Yep. So what we're saying is it was delayed again just for us by 3 hours.
But we did it.
But we did it, and we saw the New
We
Mutants.
saw the New Mutants.
I feel like I'm in a different era of my life, having seen this movie versus having not seen this movie.
I feel more accomplished right now than I did when I graduated college.
It's like it reminds me of like when people say like you're gonna retire, you're gonna get like
You're gonna
married.
watch New Mutants.
You're gonna watch the New Mutants, and I'm saying like that's years off. All right, that's never gonna happen, and it's here, and we're doing it.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Let me just start by saying I really like it. Do you really
Oh, I'm
like
so happy. I'm so happy you really like it because I really liked it too.
it? Yes. Okay. Good.
Oh, thank God.
We're on the same
I
boat.
was really worried we were gonna come home and argue about this.
No, I
Oh,
really like this
Okay,
movie.
here's my first thought. I had some thoughts throughout this movie. This film, more than any other X-Men film, nails down the allegory of mutant powers being homosexuality that they say they're doing with the new films.
Yep.
I think X2 is the one that comes to the second closest to doing this, but like this film, I was thinking about it because I was like, this movie reminds me of a film I've already seen. I was trying to remember what it was, and then it clicked with me. I was thinking about Boy Erased, which is that movie about a kid who goes to gay conversion. And like there's very similar things in there where it's like, oh, you get out if you just follow the steps.
Yep.
You know, kids who don't want to leave because they're afraid of what they'll be like on the outside. And I also had this thought. Some of the kids, not all of them, but some of them, where they come from is very reflective of cultures that are very much against homosexuality. Think about it. You had the kid from the Deep South, a girl from the Catholic Church, a Russian girl. Like, those are all areas that are known for being very much against homosexuality.
And since they're all of generally different ethnicities and origins, them having different powers and diverse powers feeds into how they're contained and how they're treated by the doctor.
Yes.
So you can say the doctor treated the I'm trying to think of a specific example. She treated the Catholic one with a lot more grace and a lot more like
Rain, I think was her
Rain
name?
was her name, yeah, with a lot more like kind of like
A
light
softer
feather,
hand
a soft hand,
than
yep.
then she had with Ileana.
Yeah, and she just like screw Ileana.
So, I to continue on, Ileana's actress, Anya Taylor-Joy. I saw her earlier this year in a movie called Emma, which I talked about in our top 10 of all time, link in the description.
Yep.
She was amazing in this film. Like her character, I understood her character within like 2 scenes. And there was some really good show don't tell with her character in this backstory. Like the monsters, I was like, why are these guys so like exaggerated? And then I thought about it. I was like, this is how she remembers them. Because she was a little kid when these people terrorized
She
her.
even said, "I made them smile."
Yeah.
And she's referring to, of course, her concept of limbo.
Yes, but like they're so like gangly and they kind of look like Slender Man.
Yep.
And they have like these just long creepy limbs. And I was thinking about them, like why would they look like this? It's because that's her memory of what they were like, because they tormented her. They were demons to her. You know, and in that way, there's a lot of subtle stuff in this film. Cannonball's like basically trying to kill himself because he feels so guilty about what he did to his father. You know, that's brutal.
That's awful.
That's
Absolutely.
genuinely just terrible.
The concept of suicide is actually played with in several characters.
Oh yeah, there were some scenes that do not shy away from this. There's a scene where Danny's gonna jump off the fucking roof. I was like, holy fucking shit, this movie gets dark quick.
And I kept thinking to myself, talking about the suicide, with the main character towards the start about to jump from that tower, I kept thinking to myself, this scene may happen in an X-Men movie in the future rebooted by Disney, but it would never be done like this. And it
Not
would never
even
be done with this kind of
close.
gravity and this weight in that motion.
Not at all.
So I feel like halfway through this movie, I realized like, oh my God, this is probably like the last new, actually
Mutant.
grounded, dark Marvel movie we're going to get probably ever.
That's what I appreciate about the X-Men movies is I think they really nail the idea of a darker tone
Mm-hmm.
without getting into just that self-loathing
And I
that
will
the early
defend
DCEU had.
not all of Dark Phoenix, but I will defend a lot of Dark Phoenix. I think it has a lot of problems, but one of the problems with Dark Phoenix was not the tone of that movie.
It was not.
appropriately dark and
Gritty.
gruesome
There's
and
some brutal,
sad.
like that scene where she makes Charles walk up the stairs.
Yeah.
It's so unnerving and uncomfortable.
And it's powerful in the context of the story.
It
And it
is.
works.
It is.
So, I don't know. I mean, New Mutants, I think, is a natural extension of that tone and style. And did you realize that the freaking Essex Corporation was the thing in Logan?
I realized
Yeah.
because those are the same fucking shots
Yep.
from Logan. I was like, that's the same footage.
The same camera footage.
That is the same. That is the same footage.
Well, what are they going to reshoot new ones?
No,
they
I
can't.
understand. I get it. I get it. I was like, my thing is like, I'm pretty sure it was presented in the same order too. I'm like, you couldn't have even like
Switch them around.
nothing.
I'm
All right.
really glad that it decided to tie in even a little subtly to another X-Men movie instead of just being
Especially one
completely
like
devoid.
Logan, which seems the most divorced.
Absolutely, yeah.
Aside from like the Deadpools.
Mm-hmm. And also in Logan, that organization wasn't really delved into a whole lot, so this kind of serves as like a tangent.
And even then, they're still not delved into that much, and I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
There's still this mystery
You
group.
can even watch this and Logan as complementary pieces back and
I
forth.
think you could watch them together. Well,
Mhm.
yeah. I think there's a way. I think you'd probably start with New Mutants.
Yeah, because it should have came out 3 years ago.
Well, I think even then it would have come out. Yeah, it would have come out after Logan.
Either before or after, roughly at the
The
same time.
point is,
Yeah.
So I do have two major negatives that I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
One, the quote unquote plot twist.
Which one?
The one at the end when Dr. Reyes has them all in her bubbles and she's like, that's Danny's power. She feeds your nightmares back into you over and over and over again. And like, I get it for the kids, they probably hadn't figured it out, but we as the audience, I was like, yeah, no fucking shit.
There was a few scenes like that
Like,
where
come on.
I figured it out. Like,
You figure out Danny's powers within like 20 minutes of the film.
I also figured out freaking Mineshaft Boy's powers while that conversation with Sunspot was going on.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's your thing?" "Oh yeah, it was the Mineshaft. I was so young." And I thought to myself, "Oh my god, he killed his dad." And then 20 more seconds of talking, he went, "I killed my dad."
Yeah,
was
well,
like,
I mean,
"Oh."
like, that's at least, like, the same conversation. It just took a
Yep.
second longer to get there. But, like, Danny's powers are built up as this mystery throughout the entire film.
Mm-hmm.
But the filmmaking does not present it as a mystery.
Yep.
Like, it's clearly Danny doing all these things, which gets into my second point. This is not a horror film.
It tries to be.
It
pretends
tries,
to be.
and I will give it points for trying, but this is not a horror
You know
film.
what this is? This is a superhero movie cosplaying as a horror movie. It's like it's dressed up in the. It's got the tropes, the conventions, and
It's got some stuff in there. I think if they had done a better job of concealing what Danny's power was and made it that there's actually that they think there's this creature following her
Mm-hmm.
and like played up this more what's the word I'm looking for? Religious and demonic undertone that is in the film.
Yep.
Like at the final fight, I thought Rain was about to perform a fucking exorcism on Danny, which would have been awesome. That would have been an unconventional ending to a superhero movie. That
Yep.
really would have been distinct.
You would have had to have sacrificed the one for the crew,
like
or tried to at least.
like like something or just something unconventional instead of
Mhm.
just fight it till it dies. This is like, no, there's a ritual we have to do to get rid of it,
Mhm.
and it's an exorcism.
Going off of that, I didn't like how when she was knocked out because of the anesthetic, and Rain tries to bring her over and wake her up, and she fights the bear. It's only until she has that moment in every script where she has the sudden realization in her dream state, and then wakes up and then can tame the bear. And it's like, why did that happen in that moment? That didn't have to be.
It
It
was
was just
pretty.
there for.
This movie's a little
A
little
little-
anticlimactic.
It could have been
but
written a little
there's-
better.
Yeah, I agree there. There are
Mhm.
some scenes that are kind of awkwardly written, but the characters and the story and the setting they're in make up for that.
Yeah.
And I think this is actually genuinely a really, really good movie. I think we all had some worries,
Some.
a lot. And I will even say I understand why Fox was like, we need to reshoot this to make it scarier, because
Yep.
they did market it as a horror film.
Yep.
But my counterpoint is, I don't think it would have been improved if you had just made it scarier.
No, it wouldn't have been a better movie. It would have been more consistently toned, but it would not have been a better end product, I will say.
I agree. I'm happy that they did not reshoot this film.
I'm so happy I got to see the original version of the movie. I would have hated all these stupid reshoots that over-explain a lot of scenes to you. That's what a lot of with ADR and dialogue in movies, they add that in after the movie's done to make it easier to palpitate for the freaking kids who don't understand what's going on in the movie.
Yeah. It
I
I
don't know.
think I will say I understand why they thought, oh, we need to make this scarier, because this movie's not that scary.
It's not, but it's not.
As the resident wuss here at HQC, this movie's not that scary.
It's not. There's a few scenes with the smiley dudes that kind of get you, but other than that, it's not really like.
I wasn't even afraid of the smile. There's one scene, and it's when Ileana opens her door from solitary confinement, and there's a smiley guy just spray painted on the wall.
Yep.
That was the only scene that got me. I was like, holy fuck.
Or the scene where they're walking down the hallway from more smileys, and then a smiley guy just calmly walks, turns to them, and opens his freaking face. Ugh.
Nah, that one didn't get me. It was only because
I
I was expecting somebody in the hallway,
Mm-hmm.
and like the way it's shot, it just appears, and I was like, that
I
got me.
think 3 years ago, me would have thought this is the greatest movie of all time.
I think 3 years ago, me probably would have thought the exact same,
Mm-hmm.
because
When that trailer dropped, oh my god.
dude, I was jazzed
I was
from
so
that trailer.
jazzed. I voiced my jazzdness, but
That trailer is an amazing trailer.
mm-hmm. It's the last X-Men movie now.
It is. Like, I think people are really like kind of underselling that fact. Like,
Mhm.
sure, there aren't any of the main cast X-Men in this film, and the real connections to the series are just a couple references and conversations, but this what Fox did with the X-Men franchise
Yes.
set the groundwork for what became the golden age of superhero films. I think a lot of people don't give the 2000 X-Men film enough credit for what it did, because up until that point, the most recent superhero films we had gotten was Blade,
Mm-hmm.
which has not aged well. I'm sorry. And like Batman and Robin.
I'll tell you this. It is generally considered two series of movies that kickstarted this modern superhero era, and it is the X-Men movies and the
And
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man
movies.
movies.
Those are the two. And if those two series, or if even just one of them didn't come out the way they did, the public would not be in this superhero hype craze that it is.
You're
currently
right.
in.
Like, we watched Superhero Movie, which was a
Yep.
parody movie from like 2008.
Yep.
And what are the two things that movie parodied beyond anything else? It parodied X-Men, and it very much parodied Spider-Man.
Yep.
And you got to remember, at the time, Superman Returns was out, Batman Begins was out.
Yep.
You know, there were other superhero films coming out from DC at that time.
And they get their passing jokes and references, but
But it was the Fantastic Four were out. They get a passing joke.
Yep.
But it was X-Men, and it was Spider-Man.
those are the two.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
I don't know why I said Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, we're gonna get 80 more of those before the sun burns out of
We
the
got
sky.
Morpheus, the living vampire.
Yep, Morpheus from Matrix, the living vampire,
But
and then
I really don't think people give X-Men their dues, because I get it. There was a bit of a lull in the X-Men movies. X3 and Origins are the only two X-Men movies I don't like.
they are quite
They
disappointing.
suck. But here's the thing. They sucked back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, in my opinion, you have a pretty
Solid.
solid legacy, consistently enjoyable, aside from those two. And their high points,
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue, are as high as the points that the MCU has hit.
I think this is a much better conclusion to the saga than Dark Phoenix, and I'll defend Dark Phoenix, but
I
I
will.
think this is so much of an improvement and a great note to end on.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be the one to end on, obviously. It's supposed to have
But
a
it was.
trilogy and stuff like that, but this is what it's become, and in that regard, honestly, it doesn't sequel bait the fuck out of itself.
Not
It
really.
It just ends.
It ends.
Ends solidly, and I think it does what it wants to with all the characters, and it has their arcs, and I think on that level, whatever you're going for, whether it's a horror movie or a superhero movie or just a fun time, it's gonna deliver. It's gonna deliver on every little point without being too big and dumb.
Yeah.
So
I think this is a solid film, and I think people are going to rag on it because they're so used to the Marvel formula.
yep, it's not MCU, therefore it's bad.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of 10. I think this is the point of the
Wow.
night.
I don't know. I'm thinking fuck it, 8.
I was also thinking 8.
8. I'm close to 9, but not quite there.
I think if the script had a little more polish on it, and
Yep.
it was more of a creep out film,
Yep.
I'd give it a 9. But I gotta be, I'll say fair in quotation marks, because you know that I am just like the biggest Fox X-Men nerd. Like,
Same. I grew
I
up
don't
with that
know,
shit.
dude. We have some differing opinions. I like Apocalypse a lot.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. That is a not good movie.
You're wrong. This is the end of the X-Men.